Yes, indeed, folks. Blue Please here on Wire Radio with myself, Tall Biscuit. We're just going to had an interesting little discussion there in the channel about Shadow Priests and, it's cool because now they scale in DPS. Let me tell you something. They're not supposed to scale in DPS. They're supposed to have utility. You're a hybrid class. You're not a DPS class. You're a friggin' healing class who happens to have a DPS tree. That means you are a hybrid. That means that you shouldn't do as much damage as pure class. I said the best remark that I actually read there was, it's okay, mages also have utility. No, they don't! Not anymore, unless you count being a glorified bakery as utility. Mana pies! Oh, friggin' wonderful. Yeah, so screw that. This is Blue Please here on Wire Radio with myself, Total Biscuit, and I've got more topics to do, so I'd better get right on with it. Now, heirloom items. This has been mentioned on a number of different shows, but I would like to talk specifically about, it's not so much of a conspiracy theory as just a general theory about the reason these have been put in the game, and something of an overarching plan. A few weeks back, if you remember correctly, I mentioned the Recruit a Friend program, and I talked about how Blizzard were trying to make a new way to play for the old hands that had got jaded and had played the game through innumerable number of times before and just were bored and didn't want to play anymore. I argued that it was a power leveling service, an endorsed power leveling service designed to keep people playing the game. And to be honest, from my experiences in it and from talking to people who are also in it, I have come to the conclusion that, of course, I was bang on right with that. And yes, that's exactly how it performs, and it's good and it's fun. Now, we heard about this particular piece of news about a week or so ago, and I want to cover it in last Blue Please, but I didn't have the time, so I'm going to call it now, and that's the idea of heirloom items. I'll have a quick overview for those who don't know what heirloom items are. Heirloom items are bound to account items rather than bind on pickup or bind on equip, which means that you can send them to anyone else who is on your account, any of your alts. And what they do is they scale with level, and you can buy them with tokens, which I assume are going to be got from heroic instances and that kind of thing. Buy them with tokens, and you can send them, and they're all legacy items, They're all cool legacy stuff that you remember, like the Headmaster's Charge and the Arcanite Reaper and Vishkag and all that kind of thing. Dalrend. So you've got all of these cool legacy items with different names, slightly updated models, and they scale with level, which means that you can send it to your level 1 alt, and your level 1 alt will suddenly have a Arcanite Reaper with like +1 strength on it, and it's like, that's cool. I thought, that's my initial opinion on it. It was cool. A few people did ask me, and I've had actually a few people say an illusion of choice. We'll talk about this. And I said, well, no, not really. I think it's a pretty good idea, but this is what you've got to look at. The reason why it's been put in the game quite specifically. Now, I'm going to make the argument that Blizzard is actually trying to develop a new kind of playstyle. They're actually supporting the idea of alcoholism. What is, of course, alcoholism? It's the idea of rolling loads and loads of alts and playing loads of different classes. Now, for those of us who did not like leveling, alcoholism is, of course, our anathema. We really don't like it. We have absolutely no intention of taking part in it by any stretch of the imagination. Why would we? I mean, there's no good reason for it. What possible reason could we have for taking part in alcoholism? We only just leveled our guys to 70 and tried to quit like 50 times before then. So now, what do we get to do? Oh, yeah. We get to level another one. Is that your idea of content? No. So Blizzard's response to that was, well, okay, fine. It's the same content, but what about if we let you go through it 3 times faster? And what about if, to do that, you have to play it with a friend, which means that obviously it's more fun because it's a more social gaming experience, and you can tackle tougher quests that you wouldn't have been able to do solo. Okay, and how about we let you summon your friend? And how about, once you get to level 60, we give you both these gay-looking zebras? And not only that, but if you level, you will actually get bonus levels that you can apply to other characters on your account. So yes, you can make even more alts. And then, hey, look, it's TBC content that hopefully you haven't done to death, so you'll be a little bit more interested in leveling at the proper speed. Which I don't think is kind of going to work out, but we'll just see how it goes. Anyway, I was impressed by that as a brand new way of playing. Now, this heirloom items thing only convinces me further that this is what they want. They are implementing a system whereby old hands at the game can level up new characters and do so in a way that is sufficiently different from their original experience to be interesting. So, what do you got? If you combine Recruit a Friend with Heirloom, you are taking out one of the biggest problems with Recruit a Friend. And you're going to ask me, well, Total Biscuit, what is the biggest problem with Recruit a Friend? Well, the biggest problem with doing Recruit a Friend, as anyone that's done Recruit a Friend will know, is if you are not doing it on a server with one of your mains, you're not supplying it with money to buy blues and stuff off the auction house, your equipment tends to get very out of date very fast. Primarily, of course, because you don't really get a lot of chance to go into instances. You know, you pass the instance level a heck of a lot faster, which means that you get less chances to get the gear that you want, and of course there's less people doing it, so it's even more difficult to actually get the group together, and you're more likely to just say, well, screw it, let's just go level, and we'll just level past this and try and get in the next one. And it keeps going on until about level 60, and you realise once you go to level 60, you're having a level 21 pair of green gloves, and it's kind of embarrassing for you. But the idea of adding in the heirloom items actually bypasses that by giving you a weapon which scales up with you and a pair of shoulders which scales up with you. And at the moment it's only weapons and shoulders. Whether or not they're going to add in different heirloom items, I don't know. I think variety and, you know, using them in moderation is probably the best idea. Now, it's cool that you have heirloom items. Don't give them an entire set. Really? Because that's just silly. You know, it's like it does the same. It has the same problem of cookie cutter equipment that you can run into. You know, at least you certainly used to run into at level 60. You know, there was a cookie cutter set of equipment that was great, and you don't want that while leveling as well. You know, you want to try and scavenge and grab your stuff, and you might want to be excited when you get a quest reward or an instance drop. You don't want to be covered in heirloom items and say, "Oh, well, I don't really care." You know, that if you cover yourself in heirloom items, you have no reason to, you know, revel in quest rewards. You have no reason to go into instances except for quests, for obviously. And half of the fun of instances is getting new loot. You know, getting something that is vastly superior to what you have. So scaling items don't do that. And I'm glad to see that they only scale up every 10 or so levels, which is great because that means that they can't be used as twink items. Ha ha ha. No, seriously, I don't really mind the twink style, but it's fine if you want to do twinking, that's cool, that's not really a problem, but it was something of concern to some people, and whether or not they're stupid is really entirely up to them. So, yeah, good idea. Now, I'm viewing this as basically speed WoW. Yeah? It's a brand new way to play the game, it's speed World of Warcraft, and it's making playing the game through, again, a different experience. And it's not the first time that games have actually done that. You can look back in history and you can even look at other MMOs that have actually done the same thing. For instance, Guild Wars, not technically an MMO, but we'll go with it anyway. If you get a level 20 on Guild Wars, you're able to create another level 20 with all of the abilities that you have unlocked so far. Now, of course, that's not quite as good because you don't get a lot of other stuff that you would get while questing or leveling up, but you can do it, which means that if you want to try out a different class, you can. And if you get really serious about that class, then yeah, okay, fine, you can start leveling one up. I mean, it doesn't take a long time. You can literally level up a Guild Wars character in a weekend. But it's a good way of encouraging players to try new things and reuse the content that is already in the game. And you might say, well, Total Biscuit, reusing content is a horrible idea. Well, to some degree it is, and then to some degree it's not. It's gonna happen one way or the other, and to expect that it's not gonna happen is a very, very silly expectation indeed. We already reuse content. You know, you just need to look at instances to see that we already reuse content. An awful lot. You go into the same instance week in, week out. You go into the same raid week in, week out. You go into the same battleground or arena week in, week out. You do the same public quests. Public quests? Wow, I'm stuck in the war frame of mind. You do the same daily quests in day out, day in, day out. And content is reused. And that's just the way of it. So, to me, I would say that this is a good idea. Now, a lot of people have been concerned that this is kind of eroding the whole experience that they used to have, and saying, "Well, why can't people? Why can people do this now? Oh, I couldn't do this when I was leveling up." Well, here's my response to that. I'm in the same situation. I leveled up on day one, and I did it the hard way. I did it on a PvP server when doing it on a PvP server actually meant something. I leveled up, I got ganked, I spent hours and hours and hours being ganked, being killed, having my quest mobs killed, all sorts of different things, leveling up when all of the leveling zones were really active and difficult to deal with. Been there, done that. Honestly, I share your pain, but do you really want to put everyone else through that pain? Because to be honest, that's vindictive. That really is. Leveling up can be an enjoyable experience, but the speed at which you do it can actually enhance the level of enjoyment rather than decrease it. Lore buffs might say, well, you haven't got all of the lore. You haven't read all of the quest text. You haven't spent all this time appreciating the background story of the blah, blah, blah. You know what? Some of us don't care about that. And if we did, we wouldn't use Recruit a Friend. If we wanted to go through at normal speed and read all of the quest text to get all of the background story, that's up to us, but we would do it. We would make that decision ourselves. So to say that, oh, well, you miss out on the background lore is, quite frankly, BS, because some of us don't care. In fact, a lot of us don't care. To the extent of background lore that I actually care about is it a big monster? Is the big monster has background story? Yes, no. Yes, it has background story. We kill it for loots, and we go back next week to kill it for loots again. We has to loots. That is pretty much all I care about. I care about a good fight with someone who might have quotes that I may recognize, or might have abilities that, hey, they did that in the other games. You know, it's novelty value. That's all it is to me. I don't care. Background story is irrelevant. Design is what bothers me. You know, fun value is what bothers me. And I'm not alone in this. So, I think that argument holds very little water whatsoever. Now, here's the other argument. Is it acceptable? Is it cheapening the game experience? Well, as regards to cheapening the experience of other people, you know, and people like me who have done all of this stuff, and we did it the hard way, I don't feel any kind of ire towards people who use the Recruit a Friend program. Indeed, I'm using it and getting benefit from it. Yeah, I did it the hard way. Yes, it was harder for me. That doesn't mean it has to be hard for everybody else. That didn't actually add value to the game. That wasn't actually fun. Here's a revelation for you. Getting ganked, not fun. Ganking, fun. And it doesn't balance itself out. You wish it did, you know, you get them as good as they got me, but that's not actually always how it works. And that's not fun. And leveling up, I quit like 5 times before level 60. 5 times! I stopped playing the game, so I'm like, I am not going to ever get to level 60. This is so boring. It is taking so long. Because leveling is something I hate. It's kind of crazy that I even play MMOs when I hate leveling. But, I don't know, the social aspect of the game and the persistent characters actually overrides that for me somewhat, and I think, hey, it'll be worth it. And it was worth it. Once I got to 60 and I did my raiding, and I did all of that kind of stuff, yes, it was worth it. And no, I'm not looking forward to doing 70 to 80 at all. I want to get back to 80, I want to raid. Now that I've had a taste of it, I want to get back to it. Yeah. It's like tasting blood. So, no, I do not believe that cheapens the experience of everybody else. It is a new style of play. It is choice. It's like a new game mode. Take a look at other game genres. Game genres that you think, well, okay, this seems to be pretty good. Look at, say, first-person shooters, competitive first-person shooters. You look at them, and you say, well, this is perfectly fine. But no, for some people it's not perfectly fine. Some people require extra modes, extra ways of playing. Some people play Instagib low grav. Some people play Counter-Strike. Some people play TF2, you know. All kind of relatively similar concepts going on there. A lot of the same mechanics, but very different ways to play. Some people will play Unreal Tournament, and they'll play Capture the Flag. Some people play Team Deathmatch. Some people play Onslaught. Some people play Warzone. There are all different ways to play the same kind of game. Now, PvE, PvP, and RP, that's not really good enough, you know. Saying that the PvP playstyle is different to the PvE playstyle, certainly in this day and age, is a fallacy. All it is it adds extra annoyance. And it's like, I can kill it, or it can kill me, and it can delay my questing, and that's about it. So, to say that those are different playstyles, no. Adding a new game, they're effectively adding a new game mode in here, and that's good. That's choice. It's not just the illusion of choice, it is actual choice. How can you hate that? You be hating? I don't understand. Now, I've got about 10 minutes left of the show. I've got the illusion of choice and the shoutouts to get in here, so I'm going to shorten the music break to 26 seconds. So I found a track that is, in fact, 26 seconds in length. And please do not tell me. There we go. Sorry, it looked like my computer had locked up there for a moment. I need to reformat this thing. So yeah, it's 26 seconds of rando psycho math noise. Yay! You're not going to like this.